هل بتعرفوا انه تحت قبة الصخرة كان في من زمان معبد يهودي؟
لا.
بتعرفوا انه كان في معبد يهودي تحت قبة الصخرة من زمان؟
لا مش موجود هذا الشيء، أنا ما عمرنا سمعنا فيه.
No, it does not exist and we have never heard about it.
Did you know under Al-Aqsa mosque, underneath there was the Jewish temple 2,000 years ago?
I don't believe that.
Okay, why don't you believe that?
Because there's no proof.
There's no proof.
There's no proof.
Okay, and what would be proof for you?
I don't know. Pass.
Do you know that under the Dome of the Rock, there used to be the Jewish temple?
هل عندك علم انه تحت قبة الصخرة كان في معبد يهودي؟ أو كان في الهيكل؟ أو كان في الهيكل؟ No?
لا.
The temple or a temple?
The temple.
The temple. Okay, he said no. I have no idea about these things. I don't have any idea about these things.
Had you ever heard it?
عمرك سمعت هالشيء عن الأخبار هون أو هون on the news here or there? No.
Did you know that under Dome of the Rock there used to be a Jewish temple?
Well, they say, they claim actually.
Okay.
But for many years they were searching for it, but they never found it. But we'll never know.
Okay, but do you understand what Jews believe it?
Yes.
Okay.
They claim it.
They claim.
There's no proof.
Okay, they say there's proof.
Yes.
Not an archaeologist, I don't know. They say there's proof and they want to pray there.
But for many years they were searching for it, but they never found it. So as a normal person, I would never know or go under the Dome of the Rock and know it. But they say at the end of the time, the Al-Aqsa mosque will fail, and they will never find it in our religion actually. But
And they'll never find it?
yes, because
Why will Al-Aqsa mosque fall?
Because it's weak. The search under it.
Oh, you're saying because they're doing archaeological
Yes.
digs underneath Al-Aqsa, it's going to fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling him that you're scared of people being too close.
I am. Okay. Does he know that under the Dome of the Rock there was the Jewish temple?
تعرف إنه تحت قبة الصخرة كان في الهيكل يهودي؟
هذا الحكي ما في.
There is no basis of truth to this.
Has he heard this, first of all?
هل سمعت هالشيء؟
اليهود بتحكي هيك.
The Jews. These are the Jews. This is what the Jews are saying.
Okay. And how does he know there's no truth?
طب كيف تعرف إنه غلط الحكي هذا؟
هلا احنا بنعرف انه عبد الملك بن مروان هو اللي بنى المسجد الاقصى، وهذا الحكي من الاف السنين، وردت جدد بنايه المسجد الاقصى وبنت قبة الصخره على عهد بن الوليد. يعني هذا الحكي من الاف
We know that from thousands of years ago, Abdul Malik bin Marwan is a king who built it, and then it was rebuilt by his son Walid. So no, it's ours. تعرف إنه هل عندك علم أو هل عندك معرفة إنه المسجد الأقصى وقبة الصخرة مبنيين على المكان اللي كان مبني فيه المعبد اليهودي؟
هذا مرفوض السؤال.
This question is refused, is rejected.
Okay, why?
جملة وتفصيلا.
In every aspect, in every detail.
Why?
ليش؟
اليهود بيزعموا هذا الشيء.
نعم؟
اليهود بيزعموا هذا الشيء إنه الأقصى مبني على الهيكل.
That Al-Aqsa mosque is built on their temple.
Okay, and how does he know it's not true?
كيف تعرف إنه هذا الشيء مش صحيح؟
حسب ديننا وحسب تاريخنا.
According to our religion and our history.
Okay. But Muhammad went to the furthest mosque. How could there be a mosque there?
What?
Doesn't it say in the Isra that Muhammad went on a night journey to the furthest mosque? No?
هلا هو بيحكي إنه حسب سورة الإسراء اللي في القرآن مكتوب إنه سيدنا محمد راح على أبعد مسجد.
سيدنا محمد أسرى من مكة للأقصى. لأبعد مسجد هو الأقصى.
The Prophet Muhammad
أسرى من مكة للمدينة.
traveled from Mecca to Al-Aqsa.
I know, but to a place that was the Jewish temple. That's what the Jews say.
اليهود بيحكوا إنه الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام أسرى من مكة للهيكل.
مش للهيكل، لثالث الحرمين الشريفين.
The third most holiest mosque, which is Al-Aqsa.
Okay, he's not going to answer it. Okay.
هل تعرف إنه أسفل قبة الصخرة من زمان كان في معبد يهودي؟
نعم، في هذا قبل 4000 سنة وشيء يعني.
مظبوط هذا الحكي؟ Yes, it's true. This is like 4,000 years ago or
بس
something.
أنا بعرف قبل 4000 سنة ومش يهودي اللي هم الرومان والأتراك وهيك.
But it's not a Jewish
في
temple.
معابد
It
بس
might
ولكن
have
مش
been
مكتوب.
Roman or Turkish or something.
برمموها يعني بزبطوها أنا وجديد.
تحت قبة الصخرة.
تحت قبة الصخرة ما بعرفش والله. أنا بعرف إنه مفقورة.
ما؟
مفقورة من تحت يعني أجوة.
I repeated and said under the dome of the rock. He said, I'm not sure, but I do know that underneath there's a lot of excavation. And I know that they, meaning the Jews, have some sort of temple, but I don't know where or.
Okay, if they think it's holy, is it okay if they pray there?
Where?
At the Sakara, the Dome of the Rock.
The dome of the rock.
Yeah.
They the Jews.
They the Jews.
إذا اليهود بيعتبروا إنه قبة الصخرة مقدسة إلهم، هل مسموح يصلوا فيها؟
أنا في لهم منطقة للصلاة بس يعني صلاتنا غير صلاتهم غير يعني.
They have an area or location there by the walls to
At the
pray.
western wall,
At
yeah.
the western wall, but so they have their prayers and we have our prayers. Okay.
So under the Sahara, or the Dome of the Rock,
No Arabic.
under the Dome of the Rock, there was once a Jewish temple there, according to the Jews.
Okay.
What, did they know that?
First I'm going to say that the question is from outside.
إيه هو خليه يوقف هون عشان الناس ما يقطعوش منك.
Okay.
هلا السؤال اجانا من برا. السؤال بيحكي هل تعرفوا انه في مكان قبة الصخرة ومسجد الأقصى كان كان مبني هيكل. كان مبني الهيكل. هل تعرفوا هذا الشيء؟ أو عندكم علم بهذا الشيء؟
صح ماشي. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. احنا هنا المسلمون الذين يعيشون في القدس يعتبرون القدس جزء لا يتجزأ من أرض فلسطين المباركة.
Muslims who live in Palestine consider Jerusalem to be a part that cannot be taken away from Palestine.
وفي القدس المسجد الأقصى المبارك.
In Jerusalem there is Al-Aqsa mosque.
هو مسرى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
It is where the Prophet ascended to the heavens.
ومعراجه إلى السماء الأولى.
And then ascended to the. It is where the Prophet traveled and then ascended to the heavens.
Okay.
وفي هذا يعني آية في القرآن الكريم سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله.
And there is a verse in the Quran that I will add later.
فنحن نعتبر المسجد الأقصى آية من كتاب الله.
So we consider Al-Aqsa Mosque to be one of God's miracles and mentioned in the Quran.
Okay, but before this, there was a Jewish temple.
ولكن قبل قبة الصخرة ومسجد الأقصى كان في هناك الهيكل.
بالنسبة لنا الحقائق التاريخية لا تغير ولا تبدل من الحقائق الشرعية.
To us, the historic facts do not change the present facts, the legal facts that exist now.
Does he recognize that? Does he know, or does he recognize that there was the Jewish temple there?
هل حضرتك بتعرف أو بتعترف إنه كان في هيكل هناك يوم من الأيام؟
والله أنا أعترف أن الأقصى آية من كتاب الله وأن الله عز وجل كما يعني يحفظ آياته في كتابه يحفظ المسجد الأقصى.
I consider that since Al-Aqsa is one of God's verses and one of God's creations, since God has taken care of and protected the Quran from any change, God will do the same for Al-Aqsa Mosque.
هو صحيح أن يعني صحيح يجب يعني أن نعرف ما حصل في الماضي ولكن ما حصل في الماضي مهم ولكن الذي سيحصل في المستقبل أهم.
It is true that knowing and the things that happened in the past are important, but knowing and doing things for the future is even more important.
فالقادم المستقبل إن شاء الله المستقبل لهذه الأرض أنها كما بشر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أنها ستعود وتكون عاصمة لدولة الخلافة الإسلامية القادمة.
The future that is coming and what is more important is that as the Prophet, peace be upon him, has told us, that Jerusalem will be the capital of the Caliphate state.
هذا وعد من الله وبشرى من
This is a
رسول الله
promise from God, and this is good news from the Prophet, peace be upon him.
والمسلمون يعملون لذلك.
And the Muslims are working towards this.
وندعو جميع من يشاهدنا أن تكون
إن شاء الله ندعو الجميع إن شاء الله لمشاركتنا بهذا الخير.
And man on the right said, we asked everyone who watches this message to come into Islam, and man on the left said, we asked everyone who watches this message to do well and to do good.
يعني الشيخ يتوسم فيكم الخير كثيرا ويدعوكم إن شاء الله إلى الإسلام واعتناق العقيدة الإسلامية.
The Sheikh here is hoping that you will convert into Islam.
If you want me to ask more questions to Israelis and Palestinians, I need to be able to get to Israelis and Palestinians, and the way to do that is for you to contribute to the project, to pay my translator to get to Hebron and Bethlehem and Haifa and Beersheba. Please consider contributing to the project. It's the only way I can do this.
Thank you.
looking at the bas-reliefs of the Arch of Titus, the most famous of which show the spoils of Jerusalem being brought into Rome in the great triumphal parade honoring the general, soon-to-be Emperor Titus at his great victory at destroying Jerusalem.
A triumphal arch is something through which the emperor would enter with booty, with lots of attendants and soldiers and prisoners of war. I mean, this was a big moment of celebrating victory in Rome.
At the end of which the general of the losing army would be ceremonially murdered.
Did that happen at this?
Yes, a guy named Simon, son of Giora, who was one of the rebels of Jerusalem, was killed at the end.
In art history, when we look at the Arch of Titus relief, we sometimes miss the violence, and we tend to talk about it formally, because in so many ways it exemplifies ancient Roman art. The figures are naturalistic. There's even an illusion of space as these soldiers carry the booty from the temple in Jerusalem through a gate of the city.
Well, we're very fortunate that the Jewish war had its historian. Joseph, son of Mattathias in Hebrew, Flavius Josephus in Latin. He was a Judean general who switched sides in the middle of the war and was supported by the emperor's family to write the history to convince Jews to not be part of this war and to convince Romans that only a small part of the Jewish people were revolting against Rome. And so Josephus is standing at the moment of this triumphal parade, watching it with ultimate perplexity, I think, not knowing which side he was on. And so what we see here is the unique situation where a Roman triumphal parade is responded to by someone who understands the triumph and suffers the triumph at the same time. Josephus.
The Roman Empire is growing in the first century, and the Romans are moving into what we would call the Middle East and the province of Judea. Judea becomes absorbed into the Roman Empire.
Judea has polytheists and has Samaritans, people whose holy mountain is in what's now Nablus, and lots of Jews. And the Jews and the Samaritans are not so happy about these pagans coming into their country and taking over their holy land. And the complexities of interaction boiled in such complex ways. And so we're watching a culture figuring out what it means to work with this very peculiar group with its one temple for the one God.
And that one temple is in Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem.
In that temple are holy objects.
Where most peoples would have a different temple in each city. So there'd be a temple for my God here, and I go to another city, there'd be another God. Jews only had one. And so they had special rights, for example, in the Roman Empire to send back their donations from wherever they lived to Jerusalem, where other people weren't allowed to send money across international lines. The Romans worked to find a way to take these people who had the potential of being good subjects, but had certain odd needs. They had their temple, and they insisted upon circumcising their children, and they had food laws, and they had a thing called a Sabbath. And all of these were very weird to Romans in different ways. They weren't all unique to Jews. So, for example, Egyptians would circumcise as well, but many of them were strange, and Judeans were so apparent because they had a religion of books, and people could read them. And so the complex problem led, for example, to the building of the temple in Jerusalem that by all intents and purposes looks like a Roman temple of the age of Augustus, but has something odd about it, and that is it has no statues, no images of deities, which Romans would say, oh, that's a Roman temple without the fun stuff, without the things that are meaningful, and Jews would say, this is the Jerusalem temple, no images here.
But there were things in the temple, there were holy objects, and that's what we see here being carried into Rome as spoils in the Arch of Titus. So we have the menorah, a very important symbol in Jewish history, especially in the Roman period. But we see other holy objects that were in the temple, like the show table.
Table for the showbread, or the table for the bread of the face of God, this bread that the Pentateuch, that the Torah says, should be set before God and 12 breads placed upon it and continue to be used, not the same table, but replacement tables, until we come to the one that's illustrated on the arch, which is a typical Roman table, where non-Jews would have put the images of their divinities. Jews put their holy objects that served the divinity. But when the Romans came and took Judea, the last of the Jewish kings, a fellow named Mattathias Antigonus, minted a coin, and on one side there was a menorah, and the other side was the table.
After a long and terrible war with the Jews fighting against Roman occupation, we have the most holy objects taken from the most holy place, shown as pure booty.
The cool thing is that you could leave the Arch of Titus, walk under it, go 100 or so yards, and enter into a temple built by the Emperor Vespasian, Titus's father, where the greatest art of the age had been collected in a way to claim the greatness of Rome and of Vespasian. And on one of the pedestals, see the self-same lampstand and the same table and the same horns. And so it was possible to go back and forth between the real objects described in Josephus's text and shown in the arch, and then into this ancient museum, but not a museum like our museums, a museum of war booty and of trophies collected by a man who was about to become a god himself. So it's a deeply meaningful procession for Romans, but for Jews it must have been ghastly.